After personally struggling for several years of my life with a cannabis substance use disorder and now having helped hundreds of high-performance individuals quit, I've noticed a few things in common that have seemed to be particularly beneficial to people when it comes to quitting smoking. And these things are 10 stupid, easy, simple things that anyone can start to incorporate while they're quitting cannabis or quitting smoking or really quitting any substance, okay? And it's funny because I make this video and I've noticed time and time again after working with high-level professionals and people who are really type A that they always feel like they need to be doing more. I was very much this way. In fact, I recently had a conversation with a client here, and as you can see, the individual was asking me, what more can I do to really solidify my decision to quit? Now, as you can see here, I came up with an immediate response, sent him a bunch of voice notes, and we jumped right on this. And a lot of what I said to this person was, look, in actuality, you don't need to be doing anything. You don't need to be adding anything into the equation when it comes to your sobriety, which is very different from what you hear in traditional programs. You got to do the 12 steps and you have to attend all these meetings and you have to do more of this and you have to find a purpose and blah, blah, blah. You don't actually have to do anything. The only thing you have to do to stay away from substances is get the correct belief system down. You have to change how you perceive that substance and the benefits that you associate with it. If you do that, you don't need to do anything else, and this drug problem will never be a problem again for you. Now, beyond that though, kind of like I told this individual, there are some simple things that you can do in the meantime that I'm going to share with you in today's video. Now, if you're new here, my name's Dr. Frank, and if you're a high-level professional, we have a science-backed method that has a 98% client success rate at helping people quit nicotine and cannabis in as little as 48 hours, privately, without disrupting your public life and image, and without relapse. I put a link in the video description where you can learn a bit more about that. Thing number one that's stupid simple that you could do is start walking more. And ideally, you go walking outside first thing in your morning to start the day. Getting outside, getting connected to the earth, getting that sunlight exposure on yourself, and just walking, literally. Have you heard the phrase walk it off, walk off your problems? There is legitimate value behind that, especially for someone who's quitting cannabis, because they've now shown that that runner's high, that high that you feel associated with physical activity and exercise, it's not so much dopamine and serotonin as much as it is your body producing its own endocannabinoids again. And this is especially important for someone who's recently quit consuming cannabis. I really believe that walking, literally just walking outside, is one of the most underrated, simplest things a person can do to help them quit smoking, quit drinking, and overcome a substance use disorder. When I face major challenges in my life or problems, or if I'm answering a bunch of complicated emails or voice messages, I do that while I'm outside walking. That's literally what I do. It is a game changer for me, and it has been with numerous clients that I've worked with over the years. It's so simple, and the beautiful thing about walking is it's a very low barrier of entry. Most people are capable of getting outside throughout the course of their day for a walk. Sure, maybe the weather could influence things, but all in all, it's a very low barrier entry activity. Tip number two is going to be listening to music more frequently. So a lot of people like to consume cannabis or drink alcohol or vape or use nicotine pouches while they're doing mundane tasks. This might be while you're answering emails, while you're returning client calls. This might be while you're cleaning your house, while you're doing laundry, while you're cooking dinner. Maybe you're a stay-at-home parent and you have a lot of house tasks with the kids that you got to keep up with. A lot of people liked getting high when they were doing these things because they had the perception, the belief that getting high was making these mundane tasks more enjoyable. Now, music is a simple replacement that you can use. When I'm doing emails, when I'm cleaning my house, we have like housekeepers and things, but when I'm doing that stuff, I like listening to music. It makes a boring task more engaging. I tend to find on YouTube, it will be like the summer house mix of 2025 dubstep or something like that. I like a music with a beat. I like something that's more instrumental. It's very, very dopaminergic, I think is the word, when it comes to producing those feel-good emotions. So literally, listen to more music. But recognize when you first quit, you might not be getting those dopamine spikes from stopping, because when you first stop, the problem that you might run into is you're not getting those dopamine hits because your threshold from dopamine was so high. So it might take a little bit for that music to become as enjoyable as it once was when you were consuming alcohol or cannabis or whatever it may be. Tip number three is habit replacement to draw boundaries between one portion of your day and the next portion of your day. So a lot of people will drink alcohol or consume cannabis at the end of the workday. You're a doctor, you see a million patients, now you're home and you're just gonna have a drink, you're just gonna have a smoke, right? You work very hard during the day and now it's the drugs that are the cue or the trigger to release, to let go of the day and to start that next chapter of your day, whether that's relaxing, maybe it's spending time with your significant other, your children, whatever it may be. So in these instances, you can focus on simple habit replacement. You can focus on setting up a new trigger or a new cue so you can give yourself permission to let go of that portion of the day. I used to work all day long, right? Private practice here, and see a bunch of patients, and I would get home and I just couldn't wait to smoke, couldn't wait to watch adult media content. And what I found was literally now when I end my day, 4:35, 6 p.m., whatever time it may be, I will drink a flavored seltzer water. I like the ice drinks, and I will eat a Honeycrisp apple. Now, is that as exciting as getting high and watching pornography? Not necessarily, but it has become a new cue to my brain. Hey, this part of your day is over. Now you can start the next part, which for me is time with my wife and children and things like that. I did the same thing when I quit taking pre-workout products. When I would wake up in the morning, I would typically abuse stimulants. I'd take a bunch of pre-workout products to go to the gym. When I stopped drinking stimulants, I lost my motivation to go work out and go to the gym. But I recognized it wasn't so much the caffeine and the stimulants giving me the power to work out as it was that activity, drinking the pre-workout, was the cue for me to go do something. So I replaced that drink with a drink consisting of beetroot juice powder, creatine, and electrolytes. That's now my cue after I drink that to go get into workout mode. So think about simple habit replacement. Tip number 4, staying away from doom scrolling, the news, social media, and just your phone in general. Something that I do every day between 4:30 and 9:30 p.m. I put my phone down, I take off my Apple Watch, unless we have new clients who are actively detoxing and might need me last minute. But generally speaking, I have dedicated portions of my day that don't involve any phone time. And then when I approach the weekends, typically on a Sunday, I seriously restrict my time being out near my phone. And I straight up won't bring my phone somewhere with me. Like I'll just leave it at home if I'm going food shopping or if I'm going out to do tasks. A lot of people, and I make this video today, right after I'd say the United States had like a really, really bad, tragic week here. Lots of political violence, lots of things. And like, not being near my phone was instrumental during that time to A, continuing to get work done, and B, being able to remain present for myself, for my family, for the things in my life that actually need my attention. So I tell people, a simple habit, if you want to quit smoking, is to start to learn to break away from your phone. A lot of times people will quit substances and they'll find that they wind up scrolling a lot more, spending a lot more time on social media. Inadvertently, this will make them feel crappy. And then they're quitting the drugs with the intention of feeling better, but they're spending so much time doom scrolling and getting involved in the media and the news, they wind up feeling worse. And we don't want this to happen to you. Now, I'm fine with someone stopping substances and not being perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. I get tied up on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all these things myself. I still fall victim to that. But I think if you could create awareness for this, then it's tremendously gonna help you when you quit smoking, okay? It's also gonna tremendously help with productivity in general. Tip number 5 is gonna be to practice basic self-care and come up with basic self-care routines, okay? So this might start with something as simple as brushing your teeth 2 times a day. It might be a little more advanced. I like to do teeth whitening in the evenings while I'm sitting at my computer, from 9:30 to 11 answering emails to people. Well, I don't teeth whiten for that long, but for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it may be. Basic self-care practices. You could shower twice a day if you want, if you're in an area where you have the means and the ability to do that, right? Basic exercise, especially paying attention to your sleep patterns when it comes to self-care. Sleep is so vital for recovery and for mental health and for stress management. So many people ask me, how do I cope with this? How do I cope with that? And my answer is always, let's focus on healthy sleep hygiene. It's going to make your ability to cope with whatever events you're experiencing tremendously better. So basic self-care practices can go a super long way when you quit. And this could also include just like cleaning out your car, tidying up your office, cleaning up your house. I really like to start my workday with things being organized, things being in place. I declutter my space, I declutter my mind, and it significantly reduces the stress in my life day to day. Now, By the end of my workday, everything's a mess again. And then at night or the next morning, I have to take time to go and clean it just because I'm that type of person. But still, declutter, practice basic self-care, pay attention to sleep hygiene. Tip number 6, and this is a big one, avoid overspending. A lot of people will quit substances. They'll start making more money like this client here or like this person here that we've worked with. And what happens is they'll be inclined to go reward themselves with that extra money. And look, there's nothing wrong with buying yourself something for doing a good job. I reward myself materialistically all the time. I like watches, I like shoes, I like material things, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But you have to be careful with this when you first quit substances. If you find that you stop the drug, but now you're impulsively buying things, constantly rewarding yourself with materialistic stuff, booking expensive vacations that you shouldn't afford or can't afford right now, you might find yourself in a financial crisis. And that poor financial health and that financial stress is absolutely killer to a person who recently quit consuming substances. So tip number 6, either learn how to make more money so you can spend more or spend less and accommodate it to your current income. Tip number 7 is gonna be to make your day more predictable. In a majority of my videos, I'm wearing the same type of clothes. I have like 4 or 5 of the same outfit and I wear that almost every day. For breakfast, I fast every morning because I don't wanna have to think about breakfast. For lunch, I eat the exact same lunch every day. Pecans, walnuts, pistachios, a banana with peanut butter, 2 hard-boiled eggs, and then I have some other source of protein, usually in the form of a organic beef jerky stick or grass-fed beef jerky stick. I'm not saying I'm the epitome of health when it comes to nutrition, okay? But my days are very predictable. Even that basic rudimentary lunch that I have every day, I prep it the night prior. I put the nuts in a little canister, I put the hard-boiled eggs in a little canister, and I peel them the night before. I get everything set up the night prior for my next day. I know what I'm gonna wear. I know what I'm gonna eat. I have a lot of predictability in my day-to-day routines, and that predictability reduces the amount of overall decision making that I have to exert throughout the course of a day, so I can use my decision making for more high-valued, more high-leveraged tasks. This is so important when you first quit substances. Your brain is chaotic. You just made a massive change. So you have to provide it with some degree of predictability because that's going to help to ease the stress, ease the chaos, and it's going to make you more efficient. It's going to make you more profitable. I was recently working with a client on this, and they were a physician. Their wife was also a physician. They got 3 or 4 kids at home, and they were like, look, it's just complete chaos. The stress of all this, we're not really sure what to do. And I said to them, I've said this in other videos before, I said, like, do you guys have a nanny? Do you have help around the house? And they were like, no, it's something we've never considered. I was like, great. So today what we're going to do to organize things is we're going to go on care.com. This isn't a shout out for care.com, by the way, our sponsor post. And we're going to start interviewing nannies. We're going to start interviewing housekeepers. And we're going to start to put together a house management team. You make all this money, you work all the time. Now it's time to spend that money to create efficiency so you can spend time working and so you can actually spend valuable time with your kids and your wife doing the things that you guys want to do. Because you don't work as hard as you work just to get tied up in the chaos of your home. This is really basic stuff that makes quitting smoking or overcoming substance use significantly easier for people. Now, if that's you and you're a high-level professional, maybe you're an executive, an entrepreneur, a business owner, or another high-performance individual, we have a science-backed method that has a 98% client success rate at helping people quit nicotine and cannabis in as little as 48 hours. Privately, without admitting you're a powerless addict, without lifelong group meetings, and you can do it without disrupting your public life and image and without relapse. Again, I put a link in the pinned comment in the video description for that. Tip number 8, when you quit smoking, focus on basic good nutrition. We all have a general understanding of what good nutrition is. Fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, healthy proteins, healthy carbohydrates. Now, nutrition can get a little bit complex, but if you're eating dessert every night and you're drinking pop every day, you might want to start to cut those things back as you quit substances. And the reason being is very similar to why I said you don't want to become overly attached to your phone or doom scrolling. The purpose of quitting drugs is to feel better, but it's not just the drugs in a person's life that might be responsible for making them feel bad. So if someone quits drugs and they have absolutely atrocious nutrition or they're gaining tons of weight, it's normal to gain a little bit of weight after you stop. In some cases, it doesn't have to happen, but sometimes it does. If you gain a ton of weight and you're eating terrible, you're going to feel bad. And then you're going to wake up and you're going to say, what was the point in quitting substances in the first place? This is why for so many people, that decision, that choice to quit using a drug becomes like, it has a ripple effect to other areas in a person's life of self-improvement. Because it's like, if I did this, why wouldn't I do other things to continually make myself feel better, be more productive, be more profitable in my business, be more profitable in my family and more present, right? Basic nutrition. Just get rid of the obvious bad stuff and do the things that's obviously better for you. Eat more fruit, stay hydrated. Which leads me into tip number 9, basic supplementation. Some of my favorite supplements: creatine monohydrate, electrolyte powders, beetroot juice powder, vitamin D3. These are some basic supplements that we almost recommend to everyone. When we work with clients, we might be looking at their blood work to see if there's more in-depth supplementation that's necessary. But basic supplementation to make up in the areas of your life where you may not have it can go a very, very long way, especially when we're talking about things like electrolytes and creatine powders, things that can really help a person as they're recovering and detoxing. We may also consider things like KSM 66 ashwagandha, lion's mane is another potential option. There's really endless options when it comes to supplements. My only word of caution would be is, remember, supplements are supplemental to your lifestyle. So many times I see people quit substances, they got a cabinet full of supplements, they start taking them thinking it's going to work some miracle, that it's going to be the game changer, the catalyst reason for them quitting, and it's going to completely mitigate the withdrawals. Inherently, that doesn't happen. The person becomes disappointed because they put all their faith into a supplement versus in themselves, and then they wind up going back to consuming the substance. I made this mistake tons of times. I worked at Vitamin Shop for 9-10 years of my life. I love supplements. I was always into them, but gosh, that's a mistake I made over and over and over again, and I've helped avoid clients from making time and time again too. Tip number 10, and maybe one of the most valuable things you can do that's stupid easy, is continue your education. Continue the pursuit of learning something new, a new skill, a new side hustle, a new hobby, a new task, something that challenges you, because reward comes from challenge. I am constantly enrolled in my own business mentorships, in my own coaching programs from other people, whether it's learning about addiction recovery or business or fitness or how to be a better dad or whatever it may be. I am very, very much into, I said this in another video about hobbies, into self-development and self-growth. It's awesome because it gives me something to do 24/7. If I'm bored and I'm enrolled in some self-development type thing, I can just go work on that. But I think continued education, continued growth makes quitting substances so much easier. Now, I want to emphasize, you don't have to do any of these things. The only thing you have to get right to make quitting drugs a permanent decision is change the perspective surrounding your beliefs and the benefits of that drug consumption that you associate with it. If you get that right, you can quit drugs in as little as 48 hours and never have to worry about this nightmare again without doing these 10 simple things that I recommended. Now, if you wound up enjoying today's video, I talked a little bit about supplements, I talked a little bit about nutrition. If you're a male and you use substances, you might want to be aware of some recent studies that came out regarding cannabis substance use and testosterone. So why don't you follow me right into that next video.